Emperor Hulkling just released into Marvel Snap, and honestly, going into it, I was pretty low on him. I didn't think he was going to be great, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised. It never felt like he was a true detriment. Now, there are going to be some games where he becomes a rock because he's like a destroyer, or he's like an infinite that you just can't play, but most of the time, he's at least going to be 6'11", which is not a terrible value, but it's not crazy either. Where his strengths come from is that little bit of uncertainty. So sometimes he's going to be a null when you're going up against an opponent's destroy deck that gives you the means to be able to have just an explosive turn that they're not going to be able to anticipate. And so we've seen in the past that cards that are hard to read or hard to anticipate how much power can come down, a lot of times will have bigger cube equity as a result. We also have to look at future 6-cost release cards. So something like the future release Gore that comes in at a 6-cost -3 power that scales off of on reveals. Emperor Hulkling could potentially steal that and end up being huge as a result. And so overall, I think Emperor Hulkling is going to be a pretty flexible card. He doesn't just solo games every single game, but if you put him into a decent good value or good early game into like one big late game power play like we're doing today, sometimes he's going to be the make or break that gives you the means to win. And like we've seen in the past with cards like Copycat, cards that are flexible find themselves into so many different decks. And so before you make a decision, keep that in mind that cards that are generally pretty flexible are pretty good in the long run. So Copycat, Nocturne, we saw everywhere. Jeff, those kind of low-cost value cards can continue to find themselves in builds. Same thing with Red Hulk. He's just the biggest body stat stick that you can get. Emperor Hulkling is almost a Magneto body, but sometimes he's going to be a gigantic null, or he's going to be a Mockingbird that you can get down for cheap, or any number of things. And honestly, I was surprised with how many times we got a pretty good hit off of him. And so as far as the deck for today, I wanted to go with a good value build, something that is just looking to put good raw value onto the board most turns of the game into a kind of sneaky last turn flip potential. So we have Red Guardian that's going to deal with all of those pesky Iron Men, Draculas, and maybe the Angela, maybe the Athena stuff. You can deal with some of those and get a lot of advantage going for you. We have Kate Bishop, one of the best Season Pass cards that has been released recently because she's a low cost, a big impact, and it gives you tools that your opponent doesn't have information about exactly what you're going to do with those. So Acid Arrow, they have to respect that you could clog them up a little bit. Same thing with Grapple Arrow, reaching those hard to reach locations. Just a lot of value with her. We have the Copycat and Red Guardian. If you don't have either of those, other good value 3 costs. We've seen Cassandra Nova. We've seen Nocturne. Both are still perfectly fine. We have Scarlet Witch, which I think is a really fun way to rip away those limbo games, because right now, really the only locational control card that is commonly ran is going to be Nocturne. And so having the Scarlet Witch can be so surprising and give you those big cube gains because you're going to surprise your opponent by ripping away key locations. We have Gladiator, which as we've kind of shifted back into a low ball style of build, Gladiator can sometimes comfortably come into the meta and start pulling those cards that aren't going to be a huge negative detriment to yourself. We have Jubilee to dig further into our deck. That is going to be great, followed up with a Blink on turn number 5. And being able to blink into a Red Hulk on 5, Emperor Hulkling on 6, while you still have a decent amount of power already on the board, can be so big. We also have the big Claw play, which right now Claw can reach those really tough to reach locations, and at 5 cost, 12 power presence on the board can be quite the force to be reckoned with, being able to impact the entire board state so that your opponent doesn't know exactly where they need to play on the final turn of the game. While testing, I maintained a 69% win rate over almost 20 games, which is still a low sample size, but it is a fantastic start to the brand new card. And so I think the deck has quite a bit of merit. I will be interested to see how it runs over an extended testing period, but for right now, I am comfortable recommending this one. I think it is going to do fantastic. If you don't have Emperor Hulkling, throw in another big body like Magneto, and you're perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. Not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. We get a 5-cost Galactus that is 11 power. Let's go. We're going to see. I've been having some really skittish players as of late, just playing it pretty cautiously, trying not to like lose big cube gains or games whenever possible. Let's see if we're able to maybe coax them into at least a 2, maybe a 4. That's the goal. They may still retreat here, but I'm going to snap into it. I think it's too fun of a line and too surprising of a line to pass up trying to get some extra cubage off of it. They go multiple man, so they could be looking at the Phoenix Force deck. I would assume that they look to destroy this after this turn, or on turn 3, I suppose. And so if we can get Emperor Hulkling down relatively early, then I think we're at a pretty good advantage. Let's go ahead and go Jubilee left. That will open up the door for us to do the Emperor Hulkling in either lane. So they do go Deathlock. We have to look out for the Phoenix Force spreading that power across the board. Same thing if they end up dropping like a Nimrod. Lemuria, so whatever cards are played this turn are not going to reveal. We get their Doctor Strange for a little bit of movement. As strange as that may be, it's going to be a 50-50 who has initiative going into next turn. I'm just going to skip here. I'm going to play the Pim Arrow, see if maybe we can get a blink out of the transaction. Let's see if we go first still. Do perfect. And so, oh no, they're going to snap back if they end up playing their Phoenix Force here, which I think it is. That was a turn for Lemuria. We are going to have initiative. Galactus goes off before this can reveal. Their Phoenix Force is out the door. Let's lock it in. Probably see the full cube retreat immediately after this. So unfortunate. Let's see, the Shuri, the Phoenix Force, the Ghost Spider, all coming down. I assume we see the retreat. My goodness, what absurdity. We'll take the 4. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Onsith. The first location is Mount Vesuvius. So we could potentially trap them or get trapped into a high cube game. We have Captain Marvel. That is our 3-cost copycat. We can change Mount Vesuvius if we want to, but I almost want to keep it. I kind of like Mount Vesuvius. It's one of those that if you don't have a strong hand going into turn 5 into turn 6, then you need to run pretty quick. A lot of times it's safer just to run for 1 than get trapped for 4. So Athena in the right lane. Let's go ahead and fortunately skip here, and unfortunately Jotunheim is also negatively afflicting our Scarlet Witch as well. Something like a Red Guardian could be good. Let's go ahead and go Jubilee. We're going to dig even further for the potential for the Red Guardian. And then if we don't hit something great, if we hit something kind of low, we have Blink next turn to be able to flip into one of those bigger plays. And so maybe it ends up being Galactus. No, I guess we already have the Jubilee there. So Galactus wouldn't do anything from the Emperor Hulkling. But it is possible. I've seen it. And so they snapped early. We do hit Red Hulk. And then into Hope Summers, into Kitty Pryde. Let's see what they're so prideful about. I think we go Claw here. I think Claw makes the most sense. It's either that or we do like a 2 and a 3. So we do something like Jeff plus Gladiator so that we can always blink into the Emperor Hulkling next turn. But I like the Claw. It's going to be a decent amount of power into Jotunheim that's not going to be negatively afflicted on us. They do go with 3 cards in the left. Their Athena's not going to scale this turn. But they could have Shang-Chi that becomes a detriment over there. Their Angela scales, the Nocturne, the Kitty Pryde. They're getting a lot of extra energy as well. Let's see. We have initiative going into the final turn. They have an ungodly amount of energy. We do have... Ooh... Emperor Hulkling might be kind of surprising. Depending on what they play. So right now, we would... The only problem is we would still lose mid with the Emperor Hulkling line. We could play it to the left, and that just becomes 15, which is not going to do it. We could do Copycat Gladiator. Copycat acts as the Miss Marvel, or the Copycat acts as the Captain Marvel. That's what I'm going to go with here. Shang-Chi in the right lane could be detrimental, depending on what else they play, but maybe we save it with the Gladiator line. So Daily Bugle, they had a Magneto in hand, chose not to use it. Let's see, our Copycat, Gladiator, hopefully we pull something super small. Gwenpool should be fine. We can destroy it. We're not adding any extra power there. The Shang-Chi, very unfortunate, but the Captain Marvel in the Copycat is going to be that roving resource, can move over into that right lane, win it by 1. After the Athena scales, we are able to grab the 4 from Onsith. Very, very close match, but a good one nonetheless. We will take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. I wanted to use Hulkling, but it just wasn't in the cards. We'll take it. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Josh Files. The first location, Fisk Tower. We do steal their Jean Grey. So whether we play that or not, we know that they're probably running an ongoing deck, I would imagine. So the Squirrels come in to play. Let's go Kate Bishop. We'll get the flexibility of our arrows. We have Jubilee to draw a little bit further. The Dazzler comes down. And so ongoing could be like a Khazar Zoo style, maybe? But we do have initiative. I kind of want to go like basic arrow into Scarlet Witch. I don't want to give them any of the extra flexibility, and so I'm almost game to just rip away Quantum Tunnel before they can rotate anything. So basic arrow comes down. We into Red Hulk is huge. Then we rip Quantum Tunnel away so that they can't do anything with it. And then Elysium. Elysium is massive for us. We can't do a Red Guardian over here. The Jean Grey would be fine. We can go something like Acid Arrow. Maybe it's Acid Arrow into Jubilee. That allows us to do a blink next turn to rotate into Claw or Emperor Hulkling. I think we're all right with that. Seeing the Dazzler Cosmo should be ongoing. Maybe we can expect speed. Maybe we can expect Iron Man, and Red Guardian could help us there. We're going to take up a little bit of their space in mid with the Acid Arrow. We have the Jeff coming down. Jubilee to pull into Nebula Force, which is not great. Ooh, and this left lane is now locked into place. So let's go... Blink is either going to be Claw or Emperor Hulkling. We're going to go Blink. That way we have the freedom to play an additional card here. Right now it's just looking like our Copycat, but maybe we draw into Gladiator. Maybe we draw into something a little bit better. So Blink flipping into Hulkling, which is Doctor Doom, but he has no space to be able to make anything like that happen. Unfortunately, this one ends up being, right now it's at 0. They will get an extra +4 when they fill it up. I don't think that's big enough. I think Red Guardian is our... No, they have Luke Cage, so Red Guardian's not the play. I think it's Copycat, and then hope that they don't have like a Shang-Chi. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. No. Wait, why did they stay? Victory. That would have been a sweet Emperor Hulkling had the board state not been so full. My goodness, that would have been a 21 power Emperor Hulkling, which we gladly take those. Let's jump over into the next. All right, next up we have Avalon. The first location is the Raft. We do have our Jeff, so we can fill it up, move it out later. I guess we know what their Emperor Hulkling is. Their Emperor Hulkling became a Red Hulk, which is great for them. Super happy for them. Unfortunate for us. So the Angela, they're going to go with maybe like a Hope Summers, Kitty Pryde, Ina style. We get She-Hulk, which is not awful. We don't have initiative, but we are going to go ahead and play the Red Guardian. See if maybe we can snipe the Athena. It's either Athena or Kitty Pryde that we were going to snipe. And so Athena is not going to scale. That takes away their impact here dramatically. We do have Jubilee to pull into some good stuff. but I would rather get the free raft resource, so I'm going to go Nebula, Scarlet Witch. We always have Blink next turn if we want to, and then if we ever, I guess Emperor Hulkling becomes 5. We could maybe, if we draw Red Hulk, we could maybe surprise them with like a skip on 5. No, that doesn't sound great. The big Cassandra Nova comes in, 5 power, the Kitty Pryde. So they do have some decent power here. And then the Emperor Hulkling is so scary. The Mockingbird is 0. I think we need to go Blink 182 into the left. We have some really good hits. The worst is going to be Copycat. Otherwise, I think we're perfectly fine with anything that gets hit. I wish Emperor Hulkling was something like Red Hulk. From their end, that ends up being dramatically better than what we can do. So they go Kate Bishop. Their arrows are almost, maybe not unplayable, but they're definitely not ideal. So Blink, flip the Scarlet Witch into Red Hulk. Beautiful. And so right now we're currently winning. But actually, no, I think we should be okay. Maybe. We could compete for this, but then we're kind of at odds at these other two. So maybe we just do this. Emperor Hulkling, Mockingbird, call it good. I think we're going to forego the Baxter. Ooh, right now we're winning the Baxter building, though. They win this one. Goes up to 20. This is 17, 18, 19, 20. So we need to flip these around. That's what we're going to lock in. I think they have to respect the fact that we might have something really big in Baxter building. And so I think they have to go Red Hulk to the left. Emperor Hulkling. Excuse me. And so our Emperor Hulkling over there goes up to 21. The Mockingbird in mid goes up to 20. And so by knowing that they had the really big Emperor Hulkling, we were able to adjust our play. This one ended up not being super fantastic, but it's still a base big body that allowed us to find a way to win by 1. We'll take it. And that is where we're going to go ahead and end the video. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Emperor Hulkling honestly surprised me. He feels like he is a decent 6-cost body that sometimes is going to be really big, really surprising, so that you can bring home bigger cube games. Other times, he's going to be just a 6/11. Sometimes he might be an unplayable 6/11 coming in at the Infinite, but that is not going to happen all that often. I think from what we've seen of the recent card releases, those that are flexible continue to find their way into decks, and Emperor Hulkling feels like he is one that could be decently flexible. So like Copycat, feels like it can slot into any and every deck and do decently. Emperor Hulkling will be a little bit less flexible than that, but still I think will be incredibly strong. Just off of my initial impressions, I definitely think it is worth consideration. Much more so than like Speed, which is a decent value, but just overall kind of boring, very straightforward card. I think Emperor Hulkling has a little bit more to him that can sometimes steal those games that you may not be able to win otherwise away. Thank you guys as always for being here. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.